Alright, so we are on turn 7, and we've got a turn a day on this one, which is quite good. All my other PvM partners, which include the two that I'm playing anyway in other games, I do apologise, because work in real life thickening, it has slowed down a little bit. Sort of spoiled in lockdown, playing numerous turns a day, and then all of a sudden it's down to maybe once or twice a week with some players. Before I start, I have to give a special mention to Less Than Expert Racing. I had a fantastic chat on the comment section about the courier system, and the courier system that I basically brought up, and this total distance, and basically what I was doing in order to measure distances between commanders. We agreed it was very much as the crow flies, so sort of, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on and so on. In a straight line, we didn't take into consideration any terrain. It was sometimes we're going to count out 6 hexes, maybe 4, maybe 7. It was going to be undercounts and overcounts. I dare say they would even themselves out, and then the rounding up and the delayed dice roll would sort of even it out a little bit. Even now, I think that it's probably a little bit quicker the messages arriving than it would be in real life. However, we've got to make it all retain its playability as well. So total distance with VTA, and it was a little bit of a crude way of doing it. However, Less Than Expert Racing, in a day, after just having a brief discussion, he managed to create Excel formulas in order to measure the distances between 2 hexes in a straight line distance. Now I understand the maths of it, that's not too bad, distance between 2 hexes, using Pythagoras' theorem, etc, etc. However, I would have no idea how to put that into Excel. I'm not Excel savvy, and even on my last one, on the original courier system, I had to Google how to put these drop-down boxes in, with the data verification and all that. Okay, so I'm not Excel savvy, and he managed to, in a day, send me this new courier system. Now, just because I've only just downloaded his formula, or his spreadsheet, I haven't integrated it into mine yet. I literally sat down with my morning coffee and opened this up. And to explain it, instead of sending me lengthy emails back and forward, what does this do, that, he even uploaded a video for me. He had a video explanation of what he did and how he did it. So, thank you very, very much. That is very, very much appreciated. So, Less Than Expert Racing, A-star effort, that is fantastic. And this afternoon when I get back in, I will start to try and integrate it into my courier system. If not, I might use it as a standalone hex counter, and then adjust my courier system here and just have it as, or maybe to take from that. I'll see, I'll sort something out to streamline it. The other thing is, again, thanks to Less Than Expert Racing, and again, or thanks to Devon Cop, this is a little bit clunky, this drop-down system. Now, when I first envisaged this courier system, and the idea that, we could make it available to other players if they wanted it, it was to make it standard. So we're all using a very similar standard order set, therefore drop-down menus. And I basically took it pretty much from Scourge of War and their courier system, although that's not drop-down menus, but the actual orders themselves, in order that there could be no ambiguity, we're all using the same things. But then I thought, well, even then, there's going to be a little bit of ambiguity, you might have to put something else in. That's why I put that additional box in. But then, that's kind of saying, potentially the same thing as I've just put up here. So I think what I'm going to do is take out the drop-down boxes. This is a process that will have to be refined. It wasn't perfect from the start, far from it. And maybe just double up and just have a box where you can write something, okay? We always said that the messages have to be kind of how they were written at the time. Massive detail, you must do this, you can do this and that and this and that. So we're going to retain that, and I will write my messages as they should be. And just having a look back at this what Less Than Expert Racing sent me, he's got the coordinates of each hex, the receiver and the sender, the distance between them, all happens under the hood in the background. It's got a delay time, you've got a random number. I might just keep the dice roll there, just because I enjoy the dice roll, it's part of the game, if that makes sense. A little bit of a dead rubber when it's over 6 million. But I appreciate nothing against that. It's just having to physically roll the dice or actually just go on Google and press it. It just adds a little tiny bit of excitement. And then it tells you how many turns, and then he's even done the rounding up. I didn't even know how to do the rounding up for those turns. So to half a decimal or to 45, it round up or down as necessary, and he managed to do that. So Herculean effort. Thank you very much, sir. So back to turn 7 then. We might as well talk about the scouting as well. Last turn I suggested that to be realistic I should have to send scouts out or commanders out to scout some ground. Now, as with any of these rules, anytime they're suggested, we think, why do we have to do it? Can we justify it with sources? And can we talk about it and be happy with it that it is retaining playability? Any rule has to retain playability whilst also maintaining playability and make sure the game is fun to play and not going to be a chore. And thinking about it, you come up with some really good comments, Lesson Expert Racing Devon Cop. This is a modern Prussian army in a modern country, in Belgium, with modern maps, with modern optics and scouts that would have been well ahead of the army, sharing information between other armies, local knowledge. Long story short, they will have a fairly good idea of the terrain they're working with. So I'm not going to put that rule in, that scouting rule that I said, you have to scout with a leader or something like that. I'm just going to take it as read, and we've got a fairly good indication or fairly good idea of what the lay of the land actually is. Right, what do we actually have? What are we actually dealing with? We might as well start in the south corner. So he is bringing up quite a lot of cavalry, and we've got some artillery brought up there as well. We've got some cavalry on the flanks, and he hasn't crossed them over. I thought he might. He's waiting up for his main force. Who's coming here? Some line troops, and some artillery. So he's going to be bringing them up slowly and surely. We've got about a turn advantage, turn or 2 maybe with cavalry. I'd say 1 at least. So we can get at least 3 brigades up here, or back up towards Charleroi. Charleroi itself, doesn't look like there's much change. See now. Possibly some more cavalry's appeared here. Might be good cavalry there. Still got a guard there. I think he's happy to slug it out for a little while, which is good for me because I'm going to try and blow these bridges. And again, thanks to Napoleonic Expert Racing, we find out how we can actually use infantry to melee these bridges. Unrealistic, don't like doing it, but if it can take a few strength away from these bridges, it might be worthwhile. So it's quite rare that you have to do it. As you said, there are better uses for these battalions than staying and dismantling bridges. When they melee a bridge, you can have it in your head that they're not actually conducting a bayonet charge on the bridge, they're just disrupting it. What have we got here then? So we do have our skirmishers that need to get out, and the only way to do that is to move everybody from here. So that's a thinker. That's shot at 8. Get some place names on there for you. So shot at 8. We're going to have to covered there. He's only got 1 battalion. The troops there. So I can actually, I am going to risk bringing that battalion back, bringing that artillery back, covered here, get those skirmishers back over this side of the bridge. Hopefully they've got enough to go into this sort of corner here. And then if they're covered by artillery, there's a battalion there, if they do get through, plus this battalion as well, which is going to be up here somewhere. Yeah, it's worth the risk. Even with these troops, they probably won't be able to cross that bridge in the next turn, and that'll give me time to unlimber that artillery and have it at least defensive fire on the next turn, or the turn after anyway. He had some scouts up here, and he sort of brought them south. He's seen that we've got some squares, and he's going to shut it or the north side of the bridge anyway, if I didn't know any better. So we'll get some troops back down there. Only looks like it's a scouting party at the moment, although last time, was there 4 squadrons? Where has that 4th squadron gone? Or am I imagining it? I can't remember now. But continue our plan here, up through the woods, get these guys up to Fluoros, and get these guys down into this town. I keep thinking to look at my town map, and what the name of this town is. It's not represented in the game. Well, the town is, but the name's not. I'll have a look on my town map. Going off to Fluoros, Tealing's Corps, they're going to carry on that march, they're nice and spread out. 2nd Corps continue coming down, and Luca is going to get to Ligny and start to occupy some nice positions in Ligny. So, other than that, messages wise, is there anything I can send? I keep what I have to do more priority would be to tell Blucher what's happening, and then Blucher to tell Wellington what's happening, so we can arrive on the scene relatively appraised of the situation. My last message to Blucher, to Wellington, was continue with good news. This is what I was doing. This is turn 7, so the teams for we're just told what they're doing, so there's no new information there. Zeaton's for not until turn 14, because Blucher's going to be aware. So, I might have a think about a few messages just to tell commanders what's going on in relevant sectors. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to crack on with this movement and get back to you in due course. Pretty much all the movement done on turn 7 now, and it was just as I said, 2nd Corps on the march from the north, Team and 3rd Corps on the march from the southeast, and some troops going up towards Fluoros. So that's the situation. Trying to keep my eyes off that left-hand side of the map, but that's the situation. That's pretty much sprung out all across the east side of the map. And it is a little bit blind. I will take that away, but this is not a standalone battle. It's almost 400 turn campaign. There are going to be times when there isn't much action happening. So apologies if you have tuned in. This is the first video you've seen, or if you think, oh, this is boring. It's part of wargaming. That's you've got to do it. It all leads up to something in the end, and there'll be something somewhere at some point. That is guaranteed. It's all about how we get there. Alright, so what did I do? Move these guys up into square. The skirmishers that were in this little village, as soon as I put them, they routed, so I managed to have enough movement points to get them into a bit of a protection in the square. And Major Winterfield is there, so hopefully he will sort them out. Oh, both units were. I thought this was one. I thought one was disordered. So they both went through the route check and failed, but they're in there with the leader. For the moment, we'll keep them in square, because I know what he's waiting for, to get into column and then pounce. Managed to get the rest of that brigade up to the outskirts of Charleroi. And first combat, one thing I do think is that we're going to have to make sure that we can get these skirmishers back across, whilst we've still got at least 100 strength in the bridge. Alright, let's have a crack with the guns first of all. Okay, it's about average. And let's have a go at melee in this bridge. So we're going to select the unit, left click in this hex. Come here, melee. Begin melee. Oh, add to melee. No. You did mention how to do this. I don't remember doing this hard. Right click's going to take them across. Melee. Begin melee. Nope. Left click text. Nope. Why can't I do it? Okay, what I'll do is read up on that and scoot back in, and then right at the end of this turn we'll come back and melee those bridges. So read how to do it again. Why can't I do it? So you select the unit, melee, add to melee. I'll figure it out. But for the time being, let's get this in there. Too bad. What can you see? Lead bumps up. Guard bumps up. They are a nice juicy target. Not best, it's only for 8 pounders. Do have some skirmishes in the town, south of the bridge. So we'll have a go at them. Okay, so I will get back to this once I figure out how to melee in the wood, in the bridges, sorry. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I did. I pulled my dragoons over that I'm going to use to cover this sort of dead ground to the west of Charleroi, and we've got a lot of dead ground in between Châtelet and Charleroi as well. With only a lone supply wagon there, sort of equidistant between the two. The trouble is with this reserve cavalry that I don't have much leadership. Now we don't play with the no touch melee rule, but we play with that as part of the house rules anyway, not the actual optional in-game rule. We play with the spirit of that rule anyway, just because the game, I think I mentioned it before, if you were to move some cavalry and they came out of command range, even if you move that commander up straight away after the same turn, they remain detached until the next turn. So for the sake of a mistake, you could lose out on a good charge that you've planned for a while. So we discussed it and said no detached melee optional rule, but it is in essence, we do have that rule, shall I say, in our house rule. Bridge here then, managed to get that artillery out of the way, managed to get my skirmishers back across that routed unit, those Schützen, Schlessenberg are they? But anyway, whatever they are, out of interest. Okay. Managed to get them back. Zeton is there, so he can actually try and sort them out for the next turn. And we do have this artillery. I can see them. And have a go at the main battalion. Okay, not too bad. So that bridge is still, I'm very happy with that covered. I'll bring that artillery back up in a second or the next turn. Unlimber it, as long as they're not on the bridge, because it always takes all your movement points away, regardless of how many you've got when you move into an enemy zone of control. To the northeast of Châtelet then, where those sides are, start to move some squares around and basically try and get in position where I can just cover them. But I would say he's trying to scout the north side of Châtelet, or the east side of Châtelet. These guys are quite good here, on that high ground. We keep them here. Might just bring them up just to cover the road actually. And put these guys across the river, across the bridge from Fernier. Leading elements of First Corps have started to reach the south end of the outskirts of Boros. Some skirmishes there, and the rest of it was just the Corps on the march, second and third Corps on the march. So what I'm going to do is leave it there for a second, read up on how to melee. I know it's something simple, I know it's something I'm missing, it's just early in the morning. Turn 8 it is then, 2 turns in one day, eh? And almost like we're enjoying this one. Alright, every time I open it I'm just expecting to go straight south and see more and more blue from the jump map. Not too much more, looks like we've got some intermingling here. He's got some troops up here. So, and those skirmishes right to the north come from there, certainly have. So we're going to have to get them out of danger. Who have we got up here? Maybe put a square there, just to surprise him a little bit. Maybe a square equidistant. Because if you've got a square there and a square there, and he tries to go in the middle, for example, he's going to use all movement points just to move one hex. Even if he's got the only move there, all movement points will be expended. What have we got over here? He's taking some skirmishes there by the looks. Okay. Will he make it to the bridge before I can blow it? That is the key question now. My money's on yes. Quite simply, my money is on yes, we'll see. But I will make it hard for him. We'll bring on there 440. But more chance of blowing this bridge than we have that bridge. But we'll try both. Moving up towards Châtelet then. We have some hussars, some cavalry. There they are by the river. Okay. Strange place here. Well, he's not obviously not going to go down there. So it looks like he's heading to the flank of these chaps here. These Brandenburg units. Okay, not to worry. Last time we got my skirmishes back over the river, so this time it's going to be a case of, that bridge is still very high. There's some natives there with some skirmishes, but it does look like he's building up some force here. Some light troops and some line troops, so, and he's bringing up some guns. So have that in mind. That's what, a turn or two until he's got them at the riverbank facing my troops. Over here, someone else coming over the river. Oh no, that's just those hussars that were there earlier on. Not too worried about them. They're just, I don't think he's too worried about us. He's purely keeping an eye on troop movements around here. Right, look at it. I wouldn't say he's doing much else. And that's about it then. So plan for this time, get the rest of the second corps, they're going to continue. That's going to be the case for a good few turns yet. And then the rest of the second corps at Ligny, going to get them in as well. Two in the third corps, they're nowhere near close yet, they're a good few turns off. However, some of Zeaton's first corps are getting to the outskirts, so I think what I'll do is start choosing some ground to the south. Where's he most likely to come? Probably up that main road, if he does come up that main road. So I think that's what I'll do. And put out a sort of defensive perimeter just to cover the guys that are going to be coming up from the south and southwest in a bit. Other than that, I'm going to continue growing the bridge at Châtelet if I can, and defending it, get that gun set up, bring that back into position overlooking the bridge. And around here, try and corner those as far as I can. Not too worried about destroying them or taking them. It's just what I don't want is them to slip through the net. That would be the annoying thing. Same over here, we've got a dead ground there, a lot of ground I can't see, so I might get just some scouts in up there. As I said, I haven't got many leaders around here. I don't know, that's the whole reserve cavalry, so what my plan is to maybe just bring some over towards Gilly and Courbar and just have overlooking maybe the high ground once on here and some this side of the road on this side of the river, just to make sure that nothing slips through. Not too bad here. And then Charleroi itself, it's going to be business as usual. I have to start thinking at some point, I wonder where those skirmishes went. They push back, maybe they just physically push them back. Or they push them outside, didn't they? Yeah. So we'll get them back at some point. We're going to have to, and maybe I'll do this now whilst we have a chance, is put that gun maybe here instead of sort of village here and overlooking the bridge there, just so I can get all these skirmishes back. And otherwise, I'm going to have to lay them out. They're going to be left out to dry, so we don't want that. Not that cool. So I think I will bring them back, move that gun over here for a turn, get my skirmishes back in, and that's the plan. So, as usual, I will get back to you once I've moved some units around. Before I move my units around, one thing I will tell you is that is that the courier system, we're trying to hang fire on putting the new system into this one, just in case it doesn't work and I mess everything up. So I might use it just as a separate entity for this bit here, this total distance. That will then come from that separate spreadsheet that I showed you on the other video. But for now, last turn, right at the end, before when I send off, before I sent the turn over, did one last check over, and I thought, well, do you know what, it was better to tell Blucher what we're actually doing here. So Zeaton sent up a message saying enemy increasing in strength, south of Charleroi and to the southwest of Charleroi, attempting to blow bridges at Charleroi and Châtelet, and withdraw my forces to Flourish. And he's going to get that the same turn that we get the enemy sighted at Châtelet. Enemy cav across the river, rear guard, left defend. It's kind of the same thing, but not. So Blucher will get that message, and then we can send that on to Wellington eventually. So just before I did my movement, just wanted to show you that I popped in another message at the end of the last turn. Alright, movement on that turn, and second corps are nicely on the march up in the north. All spread out, all strung out, but it is what it is. The supply wagons, or even on the roads, they slow you down. So if they're caught up in the middle of an order of march, sometimes it's better just to bring them to one side, a couple of hexes, and just sit it out and then bring them in at the end. Otherwise, in the south especially, they're sort of starting to hold some troops up that could be further up the line of march. Cavalry, we got all strung out here, finally sorted them out. They were sort of bunched up on this high ground. I was bringing them down off that hedge and they were getting disordered, so there was a bit of a bottleneck for a while. And then second call just on their way down. Again, supply wagons here, same principle there. They basically gone from here to here in 8 turns. So look, so 8, 16, 32, about maybe 40 tons-ish, or 10, 40, maybe a little bit less actually, by the time they get there. Starting to get into Ligny now, finally, on the outskirts. Rupert is here, he's going to get in there, set up his headquarters, and we've got some scouts down here, and we've got some scouts out here, just to cover the main roads into, Ligny. This provide Overwatch, he's got a good line of sight over there, and he's got a good line of sight down this main road where the rest of our troops are coming, or will come eventually. Well, for us then, just like to put some skirmishers out along the road, just a little bit of early warning, trying to move them up to those woods, and get the leading elements of First Corps up into, we've got some Landwehr already going in, just to get those lead elements up. Managed to get some troops off through the woods. The troops that were coming from Ternier, they're also turned up to the woods. Tried to break off some skirmishes from these fantastic Landwehr regiments. However, they first disordered, went through a disorder check, just tried to move them here. Second time, they routed. Okay, so they, not the greatest, but what to do, what to expect. I do find the new routing check a little bit heavy-handed, for my but we'll go with it anyway. We chose that to play with that rule, so we've got to live by the sword, as they say. Live by the sword, fight by the sword. Around here, I realised that these troops, these bases on the river that might be threatened by these hussars, there's no way back for them. That's a creek that's there. Okay, when we broke them off, they just ignored that it was a creek and broke off left flank to extended line. However, that's a creek. We're not going to get them back across there. They've got to go the long way around. It's not a stream. So they're going to come up here towards the road, just to protect the road, because that is a nice little natural barrier. So whilst we're here, we might as well start with trying to blow this bridge. That's about average, it's taken an awful long time. And the other gun I brought up, however, that's not going to be ready. Luckily enough, it took 5 points on number, which was surprised about. I was sort of 6, but there we go. So if we want to limit that next time, at least we'll get the defensive fire bonus if anybody moves around. What we will do though is try and melee, see if we can get a let's see if we can get a better result than last time. So add to now. Unit. Actually, beg your pardon, we're doing melee. We're out already in the space of a few hours. That's the one. And then select the skirmishers can get in on it. Not much better than last time. Not much better than last time at all. Okay, Z team has managed to sort these guys out, still disorder, so they can stay where they are. Not much else I can do with this turn up here. Okay, move down towards Charleroi. We'll go up to the playground up here. And put out my scouts, the dragoons are continuing to go out to the southwest to have a look round this area here, around this high ground, maybe go into hiding. Or I might just have a little bit of a show force and keep the rest behind this sort of high ground here. Other than that, I didn't want to take my lancers from here. I like lancers. And they're quite decent as well. So I've chosen to take some hussars. So they're going to come out to these sort of background areas, southeast of Kulbar and sort of southeast of Julie as well, just to make sure that we're covering all the gaps, and if he does manage to sneak something through, we have a better chance of seeing it, and that's why we're going to be scouting it. Alright, Charleroi itself then, not much I could do. I brought my gun out of the way, I got my skirmishers back, or at least 2 units back. He's got a creek there, it wouldn't let me move from here. That's why, there's a creek there, so he's kind of trapped, unless he can get back into the city next time, he's kind of trapped. I'll go some skirmishes. Not much else we can do. Not too far off. You can see, yeah, see now they're closer on the guard, but they're bunched up. Oh, we've got to go for the front stop line, don't we? We're better than last time, that's for sure. And let's get this done. So that's about an average 38, 40, something like that. Seems to be 30, 40, should I say. Let's get this in now. No, again, no. Actually, no. Maybe a bit long-winded, but last time it was actually worth it. As it was this time. Okay, we are slowly but surely getting that bridge. Let's call it an average of 90. So 3 or 4 turns with those dice rolls, that bridge has gone. 3 or 4 turns, his guard are going to be up here, I would assume. Covered by that artillery, covered there. And it's a race against time. Will he or won't he? Or will I, won't I blow the bridge? Decide. Let's start this melee as well then. Begin melee. Add some more. Resolve. Okay, I thought I had. Outburst now. No, maybe you've got to be facing the actual bridge itself. No problem. I do indeed. And that works quite perfect. Right. Okay, well that bridge is covered anyway. And maybe a little bit more time unless it pushes that cavalry over. You get risk of disorder and then. Okay, so around here, skirmishers didn't have enough movement points to get them very far at all. They're going to go straight up that road, maximum movement for what they can do for the right, and then they become disordered, so they won't have full movement points. But to make use of them, they're going to go straight up that road as much as possible. These troops as well, I've tried to get them up the road. They bumped into some more troops and shot at Cheval, and they're basically going to be sacrificed. E-quality land there. The Winterfeld is with them, that's about the only chance they've got. They're going to take 3, 4 turns to get to safety, something like that, I would assume. But then we did manage to get these troops into square. I've put these guys here as well, just in case they've got to go into square, and they might act as a bit of a surprise. Knowing him, with them there, and judging by his disposition up here along the riverbank, I would say odds on that he's going to do the same over here and follow this sort of low ground by the riverbank up. So might even get them down a little bit further, but then if he crosses there he'll see them. We'll get some skirmishes later here. Okay, so it's not too bad, nowhere near a dire situation at the minute. But that's the end of that turn, not much else I can do at all. They've all moved, everyone there's done what I wanted to do. And some pioneers hanging back there. Yeah, that's about all I can do for this turn, or all I really want to do. Had to bring some supplies, those supplies that were just hanging around Gilet, because we've got some artillery up here, and if we have to use it, we haven't got a spy wagon. We've got 2 shots and K-jump, we've got 2 cyros, and that's about it. So we need to get some supply up with them. I can eventually start thinking, where is a good ground to hold? When that message gets through to Wellington, I'll start having a think of that turn 14, I think. We'll start thinking about where could we possibly make a stand. Guarantee he'll have his own ideas. We had a quick email this morning when we exchanged turns, Wellington and Blucher, and we said, most little touch, that when we do, and if we do, meet in a hex, and we can Zoom call each other, basically we can chat all day, face to face or over Zoom. But we're going to assume that 15 minutes real sort of life is a turn in the game. So if we're on the phone for an hour or on Zoom for an hour, we're going to take it as an hour of game time. We can't really do anything or issue new orders because they're occupied. We'll see how we'll work that out. But I think that's a nice little touch. So keep it short, sharp and sweet. Don't be on the phone all day. Don't give them your life story. Otherwise, before you know it, you've lost a handful of turns. Alright, on that note, I'll leave you to it and get back to you tomorrow with the next turn.